Russian state television has aired outspoken criticism of the Kremlin's pivot to the east, which it portrays as a strategic success. On the talk show Evening with Vladimir Solovyov, State Duma Deputy Alexander Babakov stated that Russia's pro-Chinese economic stance has made it vulnerable and dependent. According to Babakov, Chinese investors receive preferential terms in Russia, while domestic businesses face loans with exorbitant interest rates. A foreign investor from China comes and invests in a sausage production plant. Can he do that? He can. What will he do? He'll exchange his yuan for rubles at 1 to 2% per annum and invest them in the plant. We'll be happy. For what? The plant is owned by the Chinese. The profits and dividends go to China, and we as a country are responsible for the return on their investment, the indignant deputy declared. Such schemes effectively deprive Russia of economic independence because income goes abroad and the benefits for the state are minimal. And then some Ivanov comes to the government and says, "Listen, why such a long road? Let me build a sausage factory." And they tell him, "Only at 21%, and you can say thank you. We can give it at 25%. And in the end, the factory won't exist." Babakov noted. He called this practice discriminatory against Russian entrepreneurs and questioned the very logic of the Kremlin's investment policy. Is this our investment policy? We expect this kind of investor? Why do we discriminate against our own investors? We don't need this, the deputy protested. Solovyov's unexpected statement on air surprised even the regulars of the propaganda show. Direct criticism of the pro-Chinese policy, which the Kremlin presents as a multi-vector partnership, is increasingly heard even from rabid Z-patriots. Babakov essentially voiced what many in Russia have been saying quietly. Under the guise of strategic rapprochement with Beijing, the country is losing its economic sovereignty. Chinese companies are receiving Russian resources, infrastructure, and cheap loans, while Russian businesses are suffocating under the weight of interest rates and restrictions. A senior NATO official told reporters in Brussels that China remains a linchpin in sustaining Russia's defense industry, a relationship NATO says has become a decisive factor, enabling Moscow to wage the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian defense outlet Militani reported. According to the official, roughly 80% of the critical electronic components used in Russian drones and other modern systems are manufactured in China. He also said Beijing has supplied Russia with more than $20 billion in production tools, components and consumables since 2023. Shipments that, in NATO's assessment, have materially expanded Moscow's ability to produce tanks, armored vehicles, and missiles. About 80% of critical electronic components used in Russian drones and other modern equipment are made in China. Since 2023, Russia has purchased more than $20 billion in manufacturing tools, components, and consumables, the official said. NATO officials described Beijing's assistance as multifaceted. Direct export of components and equipment, production by Chinese subsidiaries of Western firms, and re-exports routed through third countries. Those channels, the alliance says, have allowed Russia to scale production despite sanctions and supply chain hurdles. The NATO official also accused China of aiding Moscow through non-kinetic means, including disinformation and cyber operations directed at alliance members.
Trucks loaded with aid were seen moving across southern Gaza Strip on Wednesday. According to Associated Press, the Egyptian Red Crescent said at least 400 trucks carrying food, fuel, and medical supplies were bound for the Gaza Strip on Wednesday. The announcement comes as Israel and Hamas fight over the slow return of the bodies of deceased hostages under a fragile ceasefire following 2 years of war. On Tuesday, the Israeli defense body overseeing humanitarian aid in Gaza, Kogat, notified humanitarian organizations that it would allow into Gaza only half the 600 daily aid trucks called for under the deal. It was not immediately clear whether it was following through on the threat. Kogat declined to comment on the number of trucks expected to enter Gaza on Wednesday.